Hello and welcome to the GMS Magazine podcast. I am Paco Garcia, your host, and this is a podcast all about board games, role-playing games, and the people who make them. Sometimes also the people who play them, but that is not the case today because this is the interview room in which I am lucky enough to get together with some of the best people in the world of role-playing games and board games and ask them a ton of questions about, well, everything that they're doing at the moment. Today, for the first time in a very, very long time, I have with you a board game interview, which I haven't done in way too long. I have to say I've missed it. I have with me in this episode Sean Lee from Stress Games. You may know them because they came out with Citrus in Kickstarter. It's a game that did actually pretty well considering that it was the first game that Sean designed and brought on to Kickstarter, doing over 100k, which you know is no bad at all, and taught him a lot of lessons that he speaks to me about during this interview. But soon, as in very shortly after this podcast is out, he's going to be releasing Mobamon, which, let me read you the description in the Board Game Geek and then you tell me what it sounds like. So, in the known regions of Monsterra, trainers bond with powerful elemental creatures called Mobamon. Only the greatest trainer in the world will earn the right to claim the legendary Apex Stone. Teams of 5 clash across an elemental hex-based map, battling through jungles, fountains, and objective zones in a race to feel the Mobadex first. Indeed, it does sound very much like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, that kind of games, Digimon, that kind of game. That is exactly what Sean wanted to achieve, with a few twists here and there. But those twists we're going to talk during the interview, which I really hope you're going to enjoy. But I have to say, this sounds like could be a really fun game. So, but let me know what you think when you finish listening to the interview. Before we go into it though, I just want to give you a quick reminder. If you have a project, whether it is a board game or a role-playing game, and you want to come to the show, please let me know. I would be more than happy to have you around. And actually Sean is, living proof of it, because he contacted me and said, hey Paco, can I be in your podcast? And I said, yeah. So please do email me on podcast@gmsmagazine.com and I would love to hear from you. But for now, here is Sean and Mobamon. Sean, welcome to the show. This is a very special show for me because this is the first board game interview that I do in a very, very long time, outside spiel for the podcast. So welcome. You are the first in a new wave of creators coming here. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very good. Thanks for having me. I'm very proud to be the first. And I hope I do, your video and this podcast justice.
I am absolutely convinced and have no reservations whatsoever. And but you're here. You come from all the way from 10 hours in the future,
Yes.
because I am based in Barcelona, and you are in the furthest point of Australia. If I don't.
Yes, in Melbourne. So one off. But yes, we have Sydney first and then Melbourne, but very close.
How's winter?
It's cold, but I'm inside, so the heater's on and I'm warm and it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I love winter, by the way. I'm a winter person, so it's my vibe.
I think given the temperatures that we're getting in Europe at the moment, with something like 40°C and the like, a lot of people are going to become fans of the winter when it comes, because it's being absolutely incredibly hot. But let's go with talking about you, Mobamon, and what you have done, because you're bringing a very, I'm going to say, very cute game out there, but I'm getting the feeling that this is going to be also a very ruthless game because you're battling creatures. But before we go into it, Tell me a little bit about you. What was your career? This is not your first game and successful Kickstarter. Who are you?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Sean, as you all know, and you already know, and um, I well, my first game, like you mentioned, was called Citrus, and it was during a time I designed that game during a time where I was very interested in cyberpunk, hence the theme.
Mhm.
And I guess when I first thought of that idea, it never really thought occurred to me that I would make that into a board game. It was just more like I was really interested in the story. Cyberpunk 2077 trailer just came out, and there was a lot of hype behind that game, and so I was really immersed in that story. And then I came across board games. I was actually playing board games, and I don't mean like Monopoly or Scrabble. I meant like the real board games, right? The real Euro games, as they call it. And I was like, whoa, this is cool, and I really loved how they played and the theme and everything. And so I think after I had a taste of what board games are like, I was then intrigued into like how people made these kind of stuff, because there were so many of them, and you walk into a board game store, there's tons of them. And so I discovered Kickstarter, and then I looked at some of the projects that were on at that time, and there were a lot. And I thought to myself, hang on, these are just regular guys trying to raise some funds for a game, and I thought maybe I could do that as well, So
And you did.
that was when that was the switch of like, let's try this. The issue was I was new into board games, so I had no idea where to start, how to design a game, or anything like that. So I started like how most people who design games started, played a bunch of games, and I was really involved with different board game communities. I went to a local board game meet at a cafe, which is where I bumped into a lot of people in the industry, people who made reviews, people who design their own games, and people who already publish with publishers. And that's where, through those connections, I started to understand, okay, that's how the industry works here and there. Because my background wasn't in games or fulfillment or anything like that. In fact, I didn't even do any design thing. My background is in finance.
Oh, okay. So that's I mean, I can imagine finance can help if you want to do some sort of finance game, but to do numbers. But wow, that's quite a departure.
That's right. That's right. So it was finance. It was specifically in banking, but I didn't even actually study finance. I studied science. I majored in food chemistry, believe it or not. So more of like the chemistry and biology. That was my major. So you can see there's actually a big transition.
So you study food chemistry to end up working in banking to actually end up designing board games.
Correct.
I bet there is a very interesting story behind that.
There is. As you can see, I'm proud Asian. So to not to be a stereotype, but I guess there was I grew up thinking that I was gonna either be a doctor or an engineer, or at least an accountant. So it was one of those three. The stereotypes, right? So I did study, like that was the thing. I was trying to get into medicine. I was studying the human body and the biology and everything. But then I had I guess an encounter with a friend, and they just sort of like said to me, hey, why don't you like, is that really what we want to do? And that got me thinking, yeah, maybe not. Then I kind of I realized maybe medicine. Yeah, I don't want to spend 10 years studying. And they kind of got me thinking, okay, maybe if I don't want to do 10 years studying, then what am I going to do? Then that's when I started thinking, okay, maybe not medicine, maybe not being a doctor, maybe let me do something else. And then that's where I thought, because I was already halfway through my degree, and that's when I did the switch to, okay, what can I do with my degree and try to salvage that, and not, drop that out and then start again, essentially. So that's when I pivoted to food chemistry, which I guess if you were to graduate, I mean, I did graduate that, and then I did actually work in that industry as well. Believe it or not, I worked in a lab, synthesizing sugars in a lab, trying to extract sugars out from plants, from fruits and plants, I guess. So that was my first official job after my degree, after my uni. But then I was like, working in a lab sucks. No offense to people who actually enjoy working in the lab, but when you see movies, people dressing in lab coats and with like pipettes and all that, that's exactly what I was doing, and it was
it wasn't
yeah. It wasn't it. So I was like, okay, what now? I've already done this, I've already done that. And so that's when I decided, hey, hang on, I can do finance. And that was one of the things that was I got lucky that I could go into that. I got a job in banking. And then I kind of just stayed there. And I guess that's when, when you're working in something that that is quite repetitive, and things, you go in, you come out, you go in, you come out, and then you just start to wonder, if there's more to that than just work. And then I guess that's where, like, you see a lot of people who kind of enter this, I'm not sure if you call it a quarter life crisis, but then they start to question, okay, am I going to just do this for the next 50 years and, have a family and, buy a house and all that? And then people start getting into their hobbies, right? So for me, my hobby was like, and that's when I discovered like these, board games. And I guess, nowadays people have different kinds of hobbies. They have like Pokemon cards, they have TCG here, and all these different other things, and, streaming or whatever. For me, it was board games, and at that time, and I guess even now actually, but I guess at that time it was like so new, and I was just I wanted to play everything. And I think within the span of like a couple months, I played almost every Euro in the top 20 to 30, So I've touched like Wingspan, Terraforming Mars, all the big ones, all the good ones, all the top 10s, I had to like really get into it, play at least once, just to have a feel. And those games were amazing, and I guess during that time, and I still think it's now it would still be one of my favorites, is Terraforming Mars. And that's what gave me the inspiration to do Citrus, which was my first game. Basically, it's a combination of Euro and the cyberpunk theme and mashed into one. And yeah, that's basically what Citrus is, which I think I spent about on and off maybe around 4 years just to gather all the art and the design, everything, and put it all together, and then launch. And we did fairly well, and yeah, that we got into retail, which is really good, and then that also led us to being partnered with other publishers as well. So that really gave us a lot of steam to sort of make a second one, which is what we're currently doing right now, which is Mobamon. But I think a lot of people ask like, hey, 4 years is a long time for one game, but I feel like as someone who is new, I had a lot to learn, and a lot that I learned was it's really helpful with this one, because for Mobamon, I quite literally started 1 year ago. And so I'm started literally designing it 1 year ago, and now I'm launching it in a couple of weeks. So I basically I learned a lot from that 4 years, and I'm basically applying it to this one. And here I am with the second one.
Ready to kickstart.
Sorry, am I saying too much?
No, that's absolutely fine. But before we go into Mobamon, and there is a reason why I want to talk about Citrus a little bit more, and only because I think it's important for people to understand the scope of Citrus. It was Because, I mean, normally a person who just starts and is going to do their first game will go for something fairly simple, a card game, maybe a board game with a few cubes and, out of the shelf meeples, that kind of stuff. You didn't. You went from knowing absolutely nothing to producing a game with custom pieces, custom 3-dimensional board in a big box with absolutely gorgeous art. And to do that and be able to run the campaign successfully and fulfill successfully, which is perhaps the biggest challenge for a first-timer, I think people should understand and know how much merit that has. How was that process for you? Was it very traumatic, or did you just say, no, that's easy?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like there was a lot. I felt like I grew with Citrus. Like there was a process of growing, and at the start I was that kid who wants to do everything. I wanted everything in my board game. I wanted 3D miniatures. I wanted this. I wanted the tree. You can tell like that's very inspired by. It's inspired by Everdell's tree. I wanted every single thing that you want in the game, and and more. And then I started to realize, and then obviously the designs were there, and then and then we came to, and then I started to understand like the constraints of like art and like this constraints of like production of like actually producing that in the game, of like actually bringing the cost down and making sure that it's cost effective and that it's not too expensive for people. So there was a lot of learning through just like I'm presenting this idea, and then realizing that when people telling me, oh, this idea won't work, and then it's sort of like taking not to say stripping away, but more just like refining that process for me just through that trial and error kind of thing. And that really that was mainly how I learned how to design this game, Citrus. And in fact, I think up until we started printing, there was a lot of stuff that I learned even from the partners that I was partnering with, because the publishers that I was working with, the retailers that I was working with after the game funded, they really poured into my growth as not just a designer, but a publisher. That was like a second phase of my life of like you said, the fulfilling aspect of it was completely different, because no one goes into Kickstarter, no one designs the game thinking, oh, I'm going to be so excited to like look at the numbers, the spreadsheets, and like talk to like factories and, do all this manufacturing stuff. And I'm going to just put them in boxes, find fulfillment centers, and just ship out and make sure that, parcels don't get lost and everyone gets their game, So you don't learn any of that. And that was where the relationship that I have with these publishers that really gave me that extra sort of knowledge and experience that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And I think though I guess we did launch, and then it took us a while, though we did fulfill. I would have liked it to be fulfilled within a year, right? It was definitely over than the year that we stated on the Kickstarter. But I think it's different now, because now we that was the learning that was needed, right, for me to really understand the whole process from start to finish. Now I've seen how you design a game, but then the Kickstarter, you launch a Kickstarter and you fund it. That's literally halfway. That's literally just halfway. The other half is no one knows about, no one talks about this.
That is absolutely correct. I mean, this is something now an awful lot of people jump completely blind into, and then there are so many what the F moments in that. Jesus. And I reckon it's one of the reasons why so many projects don't fulfill or get so many delays, apart from the unforeseens, like tariffs and the like. But an awful lot of people don't realize. So moving on to Mobamon, this is from the PC's point of view, at least, much simpler game. You're talking cards, some cutout miniatures that would be lovely to see upgraded to 3D minis. That would be like incredible STLs, hexagons, and a lot of hard work. Tell me about Mobamon, fighting game, cute looking, ruthless thing. What is it all about?
100%, 100%. So Mobamon was inspired by a game that I was addicted to during my high school and my uni days, which is League of Legends, and also Pokemon. Back in my days, of playing on Game Boy and obviously Nintendo. It's just something that I grew up with, Pokemon, and obviously there is a hype as well coming into this. So I knew that there will be people interested in that MOBA, or rather the monster taming genre. But I've never really seen like and then there are MOBA board games out there as well. There have been a few Kickstarter as well, but I've never really seen one that combines the two together, but also bringing the MOBA complexity down to a level where it's easily accessible.
Mhm.
So when I tell people MOBA, some people who play MOBA will know what a MOBA is, which is basically you play in an arena. It will be champions or heroes or creatures that you play on a map, and you're battling against other creatures. Usually it's all online, but to bring it into a board game, it's completely different. The vibe is different. The style is different. So to translate that from a online game, which is highly interactive, and turn it into a tabletop, that's a challenge. And I can see a lot of board games out there. They have done that to successfully. They've tried to translate the vibe, the lanings, the towers, the heroes, the abilities, the items. They're able to simulate that MOBA feeling. However, it usually takes a long time, or at least you have to play the game a lot to familiarize, to get to that level of like that fun interaction. So what I did was I actually went into Board Game Geek. I actually did a bit of research first, because just to make sure that people would actually, like this idea. So I actually looked at all these different MOBA games, and I looked at all the low ratings, okay,
Mhm.
because that's when people usually tell why would you give a game a low rating, right? So I looked at them, and then they would usually say things like complexity, forgetting what the abilities are, forgetting, missing some parts, like some interactions that the different heroes have with the map or whatever. And so there was just a ton of I call this front loading to a player's experience, which was something that I actually noticed a lot when I was designing Citrus. Citrus is not it's not like an easy, or like you mentioned, this game is definitely an easier game to play than Citrus. Citrus was a very heavy, not heavy, but like to most general, the general public, not the the Euro board gamers, but just the general players. They would think of this as a really heavy game. So I kind of like wanted a different feeling, because every time I show people a game, I have to teach it, right?
Mhm.
So teaching Citrus again and again and again, and then having that same frustration of like, I get it, right? I also understand where they're coming from. These are not really board gamers. These are my friends, my families, like people who I interact with on a daily, and they just want to try my game out, and they're like, oh man, this is so much, and and I guess I was like, okay, maybe I'll design a game, the next game that's
It's
easier for
simple.
you, right? So that was like the motivation. I feel like that, hence why I took this simpler route. But I didn't want to sacrifice the tactical strategy as behind what made Citrus great, right? Because in Citrus, one of the core gameplays is the map positioning. So and you would you would do all your jobs and all that, and you would place a guy out, and the positioning of your map, it's almost like an area control thing. I really like area control games, so I took that aspect there, and then I moved it into this one and made it simpler. But that, and then obviously the MOBA elements. And so combining that with the MOBA elements, I was able to make a simplified version of a MOBA game, right? And to make it more interesting, I obviously had the Mons, the mobile Mons, and the mobile Mons are quite straightforward. The Mons are essentially creatures that have different types: fire, water, grass. The classic, electric, rock. We only have 5 at the moment, but obviously perhaps it's expansion. Yeah. We have 5 that that counters. You have the weaknesses, strengths, very basic Mon stuff, and then there's evolutions. And so combining those two was a challenge. It was definitely a challenge, because this time it was for Citrus, it was all about more, and like making it this big tower thing, and big board presence. Whereas this is like, how can I take something very difficult and like try to bring it down, but to a level where it's super like accessible to people, but at the same time still keep some of that strategy behind. So that was like a different a way of designing this game. That was the strategy I was going into this. And so yeah, with Mobamon, we have one of the biggest struggles is creatures. Tons of creatures means tons of art. So we literally have like 6 artists doing this. From artists, there was one artist just doing Mons specifically, one artist doing just backgrounds, one artist doing the graphics and all that, and we have a few doing different other stuff helping out. But it was a real like, just the art alone, just to get all the Mons out, it took us like the biggest chunk of the time, basically, just to get all the art together.
I'm really
more
glad.
than the designing.
Sorry, I'm really glad that you're talking about that, because it saves me from asking the question if you've been using AI to generate any of the artwork in the game, and I'm really pleased to hear that you're involving so many artists instead. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, and not only that, we don't use AI in this game. We all the artists are small-time artists, like people who we found on ArtStation, on Upwork, a lot of these freelance sites that, essentially because of this, they might be able to get, and in fact, someone has gotten a gig after working with us, so that was good. She was working with, she was drawing our Mons, actually. So it was good to hear. And also, yeah, these guys are fantastic as well. They've done really good work with the art for Mobamon. And so I think, yeah, just bringing that all together was, it required some patience, because, different artists can have, different styles. And sometimes you need to, sort of go back and forth to make sure that everyone's on the same page. Because sometimes, I think there's a role for this. Like, there's I think art director. Some games have art directors. There you go.
I have worked as right now I'm a lead instructional designer, but I have worked as an art director, and to be able to create the ebb and flow of that visual language with different artists can be quite a challenge.
Yes, 100%. And I think that's the biggest learning curve for me this time around. Previously, I had someone amazing who was working on the whole the style and the vibe, but we couldn't get him to work on this one because he was already too busy. So I just had to, I guess, wing this on my own, I guess. So that was this is the next thing, the next big thing I was learning, because I think overall the designing of this game was quite, compared to Citrus, the designing of this was the easy part, and the art was the hard part for this. Whereas in Citrus, the designing was the harder part, and the art was easier because of the help that we got. So so I guess.
Sorry, I'm impressed with that answer, because I can imagine basically controlling all the variables of the different MOBAs and the evolution, make sure that it doesn't get completely out of balance between, evolving one of the MOBAs with something and then evolving another one with something else, and they get completely out of balance. That cannot be an easy process.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I think so. One thing that I did mention in some of my videos as I'm designing this. I've done like my day in the life and also sort of like a designer diary through my socials. Is that the way I've designed this in terms of the strategy and attack tactical wise is I designed it very closely to chess.
Mm-hmm.
So you have all your moving pieces and they all do different things. So they're called, the different roles, just like in Moba. You've got your tanks, you've got your supports, you've got your carries, and they each do different things. And so some of them will have like it's like a sort of like a rock, paper, scissors effect. But they kind of balance each other out on the field. Like let's say if you look at chess, sure, the queen is the strongest, right? But there's only one piece of queen, and everyone gets that same queen anyway, right? And it's really about positioning and and strategizing how you use your abilities. So that was where I really drew a lot of inspiration from chess, and I was like, okay, the design here must not be like I didn't want to do a thing where one character is like this super, like if you evolve this and then so everyone's going to rush for that one character. I want to design a game where I wanted to design this game where you're picking a bunch of roles, a bunch of small little strategies that can help your overall strategy and help you to win. So you're not always going to win based on so it's a drafting game as well. So here, for example, I'm just going to give you a quick example. Every monster has obviously a role, but also a type. So if you were to draft a fire type, I'm obviously going to draft a water type because that basically just snuffs you out, right? My water, defeats your fire. So, but then you get the next draft. So you're going to draft electric because that's going to counter my water, right? So it's this back and forth thing. So that's that level that's that level of draft there that kind of just keeps things in balance. So even if you pick a strong thing, I'm going to pick a strong thing that will counter your strong thing. And because of this, the way this design, it's sort of it's like there's a design principle in Dota, which is also another MOBA, is that you just make everyone strong.
Okay.
It just balances out. So that's kind of how I approach these Mons. These Mons, they are unique. They all have their own ability that's different to the rest. So it's just sort of like trying to make them make sense with their theme, make sense with their type, their element, and also their role. So so like a tank has to be a beefy, strong, full of health, compared to a carry who's strong but very squishy, like a glass cannon sort of thing. So yeah.
How many Mons are there in the game at the moment?
Yeah, so there's 60. There's 60 Mons. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I was expecting like 30 or 25, something like that. 60 is a lot.
Yeah, 60. So there's 60, and then there's 5. We call them ancients, but they're essentially the legendaries of the. You can't leave out the legendaries, right? So yeah, we also have the legendaries, which are basically buffs. If you play MOBA, you'll know what buffs are. Essentially, they're just power-ups that you can have temporarily. So the way we sort of this the way the theming works is that you control your Mons, but then you have like this spirit animal, these buffs that are legendary creatures that once upon a time ruled this land, and I guess you just equip them temporarily, and they can assist you with your battle or capturing objectives and so on. So yeah.
That sounds absolutely fascinating. The game, interestingly enough, and this is something I really wanted to ask you, plays 1 to 6 players. How does the solo mode work?
Yeah, so the solo mode essentially works. You are fighting against another set of 5 Mons. So each player will draw 5 Mons. So we'll have 5 Mons: the tank, bruiser, rogue, carry, and support. These are the 5. So the solo mode pits you against another 5. So these will be done through an automata, and it's basically like a solo deck and also solo rules to help you move the characters in a way where it doesn't really simulate another person playing because it's got its own rules. So yeah, essentially the way we have themed this is that these Mons have gone rogue, and so they're trying to protect the towers that you're trying to claim, right? Your Evostones, which helps you evolve your Mons. So they will try their best to stick to a tower, defend it, and it's your job to try to defend them off and then capture those Evostones, which help you evolve. Yeah.
That sounds. I mean, it sounds very clever, and I like the idea because I love games that can play solo, because sometimes I have a problem when I'm learning rules because of my dyslexia and my autism. That learning the rules it's really tough. Having the solo mode helps me a lot understand the rules, because I can be playing as I learn the rules by myself without the pressure of having to teach the rules to anyone. So for me, it's an absolute lifesaver. So that's brilliant. It's coming to Kickstarter now, as in next week, in September.
No, not next week. We are launching on the 9th of September.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the 1st.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Okay, so it's very close indeed. What is the campaign going to look like? What are people going to be able to get?
Yeah, so we want it to be very accessible. So there is a starter pack. So essentially we'll call it the trainer set, where you can just go straight into it. And it also does include the solo mode in that pack, and it will play up to 4 players. And essentially it's just a standard game where you can put out all the hexes, and then you can draft between 4 players, 1 to 4. So that will be like the first pledge. Whereas the second one, which is I guess the one that I think most people would probably be looking at, is the the standard or the complete, the master set we call it. And for this one, it will have the 5 and 6 included as well as like the full map border, which really just gives it that, okay, this is a real sort of like big, board game feel, which you can really feel when you put, all the maps, pieces around. And I guess the first one is more of like a, if you want to, because the way it is a quick game, quick as in, okay, relatively quick, right? So 30-40 minutes, right? I know sometimes you have to clarify that, like, what do you mean quick, right? 30-40 minutes can be done with 2 players, because it's like chess. You move, and then all of a sudden, game ends, kind of thing. So if you want, and the thing is, you can literally, I've tested this, you can literally play this game if you're playing 2 players. And I'm thinking of doing a mode potentially. You can literally play these 2 players on what do you call it? These in chess, competitive chess, there's a clock thing.
Oh yes.
The timer thing.
Yeah.
You can literally play it with that. That's how it feels literally. So if you set a timer of like each person has, 5 minutes, you can literally play it in that amount of time as well. Blitz, like blitz chess. So that can be. Huh?
I can foresee a championship mode and expansions to create, championships, world. Mobamon World Championship. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Yeah, because you have drafting, which is in Moba, and League of Legends World Championship Series is one of the biggest esports event competitions ever, and chess. No, duh. Everyone knows chess. So, and then plus, if you do it time, like a blitz chess kind of thing, where you're timed, it really amps up that competition and that the tournament feel, I guess, which is what I was going for. Like this game was really, it works well with all player count as well. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are a lot of videos out there with me playing with 6 players. So it definitely works. And 2 players as well, because designing this game, a lot of the crunch and a lot of like that, that reaction and all that. A lot of inspiration drawn from Yu-Gi-Oh, a lot of inspiration drawn from like Riftbound and all the TCGs out there, One Piece. And so yeah, like that was the sort of goal I wanted to do with this design. And so yeah, you can get that experience from all pledges, obviously, 2 players. But yeah, the middle pledge, the master set, will have more tiles so that you can set up your map for a more comfortable 5 and 6 player game. And then the final, which is the champion set, we're calling it, we'll literally have TCG style cards. So each Mon will basically have their own set of cards. So right now the cards are double-sided. So when you evolve, you just like Slay the Spire board game, you just flip on the other side. That's the evolved version, right? Simple. But for the upgraded tier, essentially we want to make these actual TCG. So the way it works is that you just substitute your card, whatever you were playing with this. So it will either be, I'm thinking of trying to see if I could do some holographics or whatever, but I do want this for collectors. So these are like the OGs.
Have you thought about doing some of those transparent cellophane things that you can stick on top to make it evolve with new equipment or new features or whatever?
I think so, because the thing with Mobamon is that I know it sounds crazy, but it's actually a system that I created. You can literally, although we do have our own monsters, swap these Mons out with actual Pokemon or Digimon. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I might have to trademark some stuff, some I don't know how it works, but we have tried that. Yeah, you can literally play with Pokemon cards. You can literally play with Digimon cards. Anything that has evolution, it works.
Wow.
You just pick your favorite Mons. You just have to. There's a few things you need to change, obviously. Like you got to figure out how to come up with standees and all that. But I think I know there's a way to do it where we can make custom standees. Anyway, but essentially you can swap out, because it's literally just the way it works is the Mon cards just tell you 1, 2, 3, 4 important things. It tells you your health. It tells you your type, your role. It tells you your type, what element you are, and it tells you your special. So if you could put that in the card frame, or like you said, a transparent thing, you could just put whatever image of whatever Mon you want underneath, slap it on top of it, and you can play with that.
That'd be awesome.
It could work.
That is absolutely awesome. Everyone should know about it. That would be incredible. Pledge levels. What are going to be the pledge levels, and what is the asking price? If you have already set that one up, because I know that even 2 weeks prior to a Kickstarter, that sort of thing can be flexible.
Yeah, correct. So I think our starting price, just because of the amount of Mons that we have in this game, we actually do have a lot compared. In fact, I think compared to Citrus, I think we almost have the same, or if not more, components, even though it's a simpler game, right? Just because of the amount of stuff that we have in this. So it will be starting at 69 for the trainer set, and then 99 for essentially the 5-6 player expansion with everything in it. So that will be the master set. And the one with the the TCG cards, or the TCG style cards rather, and also the artwork book. It's essentially like a collector's edition, and we'll call this set. And I think this one will be around 169.
Okay.
So these are the 3 tiers. But in Tress Games fashion, I've done it with Citrus as well. We do have the Legends tier. So this will be $4.99, which will basically immortalize whoever who backs the game into the Mobamon lore. We have done it with Citrus, so some of the cards in Citrus literally has the backer's name.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. So we do want to involve the backers as well. It is a process that we're quite proud of, and yeah. these backers that have helped supported us in such as we're really grateful for them. And so we want to bring that, give them the opportunity again with Mobamon, with their own lore, their own trainers, their own story in the Mobamon lore, and see their involvement as well. Yeah, so that's the four rather tiers that players can get into right away.
Sounds pretty reasonable, to be honest, and I like the idea of the immortalization of the backers. In terms of fulfillment, when can people expect? Because I'm going to assume that this is going to fund this. This is out of the question. When will people receive the games? Ideally.
Yeah, so for this one, we do expect to fulfill within a year, but I think my hope this one, just because of the experience I had from the last one, I do want to, it's a bit cliche, but under promise, over deliver in terms of my fulfillment. So I'll say a year, and hopefully I over deliver. Yeah,
that is indeed fair enough. And I would normally ask people, so you're doing this, what's next? But I can imagine that you just laser focused on this, and the next game is probably lurking in your mind but not being realized yet.
It's funny you say that, because as a game designer, I just don't. Sometimes I'm not sure how people. Maybe some people, they don't think about it, but for me, I'm always thinking about game designs when I'm playing different games, and I'm like, hang on, this is a good mechanic.
You are a game designer.
how can we change that?
You are a game designer.
Yeah, so I do have like a literal note on my file, rather on my computer, that has like mechanics that I like from games. And I know Jamie Stagmeyer does that as well from his series, his game mechanics series. And so me, I do.
Solana Amani Rowe, known professionally as Scissor, is an American singer.
Sorry, Siri just came up. Not sure why, but I think anyway, I think she wants to join in on the interview, So I do have like stuff planned. If there's a I guess a growing audience for Mobamon, expansion might be there,
That would be that. I mean, seriously, the tournament idea of people being able to get little expansions of Mobamons and be playing them around and keep the game fresh, that would be absolutely incredible. I would love to see that. And 1 year fulfillment sounds great, because that means that I could see you at Spiel next year, and you would be there to deliver. Are you coming to Spiel this year, by the way?
I am not. I can't come to Spiel this year because I missed the. Well, technically I can, but I didn't get to submit my what do you call it, exhibitor thing, so it's closed. But I would like to submit it for Mobamon for sure for next year. So it is available to. I think it's open to submit for next year, and I think you'll be put on a wait list, because I think everyone tries to go to Spiel anyway, right? So it's big, and I would like to, for sure.
And right now, I think they have really sold out everything, as in tickets, exhibitors, everything. Exactly. So I don't know if they're gonna have to move the place to the moon or something to make it even bigger, because this is getting ridiculous. I think last year they had 170,000 people over the 4 days or something like that. It was insane, absolutely insane. But I was hoping, that you would be able to make it and meet you face to face this year. But hopefully next year that will happen when we can see you carrying around all the Mobamon boxes.
100%,
Sean, best of luck with the. One last question. I'm asking everyone that comes to the show at the moment. This is completely out of the blue. What streaming service would you like to do the series about your game?
What streaming service? I think streaming. I think Twitch is good.
No, but I mean Netflix, HBO, Amazon, Disney.
Oh,
Plus,
right.
Paramount.
Okay.
No.
That's what you mean. Like if you had your own series.
Yeah, no. They have to make a series about the game. Which one would you like to go with?
Right. Yeah. Look, I think everyone has seen a Netflix documentary,
Mhm.
and so I guess that would be the go-to. But I wouldn't mind. I mean, I haven't really seen a HBO documentary or a series, so maybe HBO because they're pretty good as well. It's either HBO or Netflix. Yeah.
Okay, well, in that case, I hope that Netflix and HBO are listening and you take Mobamon and make an amazing series out of it, because it would be great to see the animated Mobamon series. That would be absolutely awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking of that, I hope you can watch my. We do have an opening. You know what an opening is?
No.
An opening is basically an anime. The music they play at the start of every anime.
Uh-huh.
They call it an opening of an anime. So before they play a show, let's say a cartoon or whatever, they usually play a short like music, video thing for the to introduce like the characters and whatever. So we actually did one that is basically a reimagined version of the Metabots. I'm not sure if you know Metabots. It's a really old school cartoon slash, I guess animation that was done way back in those days. And I actually got a proper singer, studio, everything to actually do this. I know, like,
wow.
I just thought I was doing this halfway. I was doing designing my board games, and I thought, what if Mobamon had a song? And then that thought just couldn't leave me, to the point where I had to hire a singer, a studio, just to like record. And we do have a recording of it. It's only a minute long, but it will basically sound very similar to the original Metabots opening, but it's ours with our lyrics. And we hope to do like a short animation clip for the Kickstarter as well. Hopefully we'll make it in time, but otherwise we do have a song. Yeah. It's on our YouTube channel. Yeah.
Fingers crossed. I can't wait. Now I'm going to go and watch that thing. Sean, thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Seriously, best of luck with the Kickstarter. Mobamon sounds absolutely fantastic. And I can't wait to meet you at Spiel next year.
Likewise. Yeah. Thank you for having me. And yeah, all the best. I'll see you soon. Yeah.
Indeed. Hope you enjoyed that. I did very much, and I'm not kidding. I really enjoyed this interview. It was really good fun. Mobamon sounds a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to sound, because yes, like you at the beginning of the podcast, I thought, well, this is just going to be another Pokemon game, but this leveling up, being balanced, this single player mode that's baked into the system rather than being an add-on that's being an afterthought, I don't know, it's kind of encouraging. I feel pretty confident about this game, and I can't wait to see it made true, and happening at the table. But we'll see. Let's hope that the campaign is a success. I think it's going to be. I'm going to predict that this time they're going to make about $250,000. Okay, 250,000. Let's go from there all the way to the top. But we'll see at the end of the campaign. Thank you so much for being there. It is genuinely, and I mean it, very, very much appreciated. Please remember to subscribe and to share this podcast with anyone else. I very much look forward to hearing from you on Blue Sky or Facebook, which is where I move more often than not. But until the next time, I will talk to you very, very soon. Take care.